Is Tiffany really the victim, or is there more to the story? She walks through Dalton with a confident smile, positioning herself as the innocent target of political attacks. But let's get real for a moment. Is Mayor Tiffany Henyard really the victim here, or is there a much deeper story playing out behind the scenes? Strap in, because Tiffany Henyard has the entire town talking. Not only is she the mayor of Dalton, Illinois, but she also holds the powerful position of Thornton Township Supervisor. That's right, 2 major leadership roles, one ambitious woman. But now, the FBI is involved, and they're looking into whether Tiffany has been misusing public funds. Henyard, for her part, denies it all, calling it a setup, someone's attempt to bring her down. We've dug into the details, and trust us, this story has more twists than a reality show finale. Let's break it down. Hashtag double duty or double trouble. Tiffany Henyard isn't just wearing one political hat. She's rocking two. As mayor of Dalton, she's responsible for basic local governance, fixing roads, collecting trash, and keeping the town running smoothly. But as supervisor of Thornton Township, her role shifts into social services, helping residents pay electric bills, covering funeral costs, and distributing aid to the community. The problem? She's doing it all with taxpayer money. And make no mistake, it's not charity work. It's a well-paid career. Between the two positions, Tiffany earns over $200,000 a year, significantly more than what most Dalton residents will make in 5 years. Unsurprisingly, many locals are raising eyebrows. Some call her a super mayor, but not in a flattering sense. Critics say she's stretched too thin, juggling too much, and not doing any of it particularly well. Before Tiffany took office in 2021, Dalton was known for its small-town charm, community festivals, parades, and neighborly spirit. Now, the focus is squarely on Tiffany herself, and not everyone appreciates the attention. Then there's her breast cancer charity. On paper, it sounds noble, but when word spread that she was using taxpayer money to run it, public praise turned to suspicion. Sure, charities need funding, but should public money be used for that? Hashtag a town in trouble. While Tiffany's been managing her dual roles, Dalton's finances have taken a serious hit. The town is staring down a $2 million deficit. Not pocket change, but full-blown financial crisis. Still, Tiffany insists both her roles are legitimate and necessary. But with controversy swirling, people are increasingly asking, is she really working for people, or just for herself? And then came the feds. Hashtag entered the FBI last week. It was just small-town gossip. This week, the FBI is in town, and they aren't here for a courtesy visit. Agents have been digging into Tiffany's financial dealings, scrutinizing how she's been spending public funds. And this isn't just a surface-level check. Investigators are using electronic surveillance, financial audits, and advanced tools to track her every move. They aren't limiting their probe to her mayoral budget, either. They're combing through her charity finances, her political fund, and even her personal business dealings. They want the full picture, and they're leaving no stone unturned. Hashtag the plot thickens as if things couldn't get messier. And her key Freeman, Tiffany's right-hand man. Freeman has already been charged with bankruptcy fraud and, reportedly, is cooperating with investigators. Meanwhile, Tiffany is trying to maintain her composure amid the storm. She says all the heavy security around her isn't because she's hiding something. It's because of threats she's received. She's adamant that she's not backing down, claiming this is all one big misunderstanding. But let's be real. The FBI doesn't just show up for no reason. Hashtag what's up with Tiffany's security detail? Let's break that down. Dalton has about 45 police officers. Tiffany says her personal security detail is justified because of credible threats to her life. But here's what she wants people to understand. The security detail, she says, is written into the village's CBA, its collective bargaining agreement, the union contract. It comes with a seat, Tiffany emphasizes. I didn't just create this and say I want security. When asked how many officers are on her detail, Tiffany won't say, citing safety concerns. But she's clear on one thing. If it's in the CBA, then it's legal, and she's not doing anything wrong. In fact, she's gone to court to defend her right to have security, and the judge agreed. But here's the bigger question. Is Tiffany just protecting herself, or is she hiding something? Because if Tiffany says all the security is necessary for her protection, the logical follow-up is, protection from what exactly? Hashtag the FBI casts a wider net. Dalton isn't the only place feeling the heat anymore. The FBI has reportedly been talking to former employees, local business owners, and political insiders, and not everyone has kind words to say. Some claim Tiffany has been using her political power to target critics and punish those who don't support her, whether that's through their votes or their wallets. Henyard continues to maintain her innocence, but her credit card records suggest a different story. Hashtag living large on a town in debt. Here's the tea. While Dalton is grappling with a $2 million deficit, Tiffany has allegedly been living like royalty. We're talking first-class flights, luxury hotel stays, expensive dinners, all while the city struggles to keep its lights on. And here's the kicker. The bills aren't hitting Tiffany's personal accounts. They're being charged to township credit cards. That's right. The taxpayers are footing the bill. Sure, maybe a few perks come with the job, but this isn't about the occasional dinner or hotel room. We're talking about thousands of dollars spent on lavish trips, high-end meals, and luxury services, all paid for with public funds. Hashtag personal expenses on the public dime. It gets even messier. According to sources, Tiffany isn't just using those credit cards for official business. She's allegedly been swiping them for personal expenses, too. It's as if she's got a VIP pass to the town's checkbook, treating it like her own personal piggy bank. Hashtag the billboard blitz now. Let's talk about the billboards. You'd expect to see public ads promoting community events or local services. But in Dalton, it's Tiffany's face, front and center, plastered all over town. And guess who's paying for that self-promotion? Yep, the taxpayers. Here's the problem. Using public funds for self-promotion is illegal under Illinois state law. But judging by Tiffany's approach, she doesn't seem too worried about the rules. Hashtag the big question. So here's where we are. Is Tiffany Henyard a bold, misunderstood leader who's being unfairly targeted? Or is she using her office like her personal ATM? The FBI is watching. The town is talking. And it's starting to look like this small-town political drama might soon become a national scandal. Hashtag a question of policy for comparison. Look at the city of New Orleans, where city officials are banned from flying first class under municipal policy. But in Dalton, no such rule exists. Asked whether Dalton should establish a formal policy on travel spending, Tiffany hasn't committed. Critics argue that as a public official, she should lead by example and set strict guidelines to ensure taxpayer money is spent responsibly. Because at the end of the day, this isn't just about one leader's perks. It's about trust. The public's trust that their money is being used for the community's good, not for luxury lifestyles and personal gain. Hashtag stay tuned as the investigation unfolds. One thing is clear. Tiffany Henyard's political future and the future of Dalton hang in the balance. Stay tuned, because this story is only getting hotter. Ty, is Tiffany really the victim, or is there more to the story? Tiffany Henyard is strolling around acting like she's the innocent one. But let's get real. Is she truly the victim here, or is there a whole lot more happening behind the scenes? Strap in, because this story has the whole town talking. Tiffany isn't just the mayor of Dalton. She's also the supervisor of Thornton Township. That's two major leadership roles, one ambitious woman. But now the FBI is involved, and they're saying Tiffany has been up to some shady business with public funds. Tiffany denies it all. According to her, this is nothing but a setup. Someone's out to take her down. But we've got the inside scoop, and trust me, this story has more twists than a reality show finale. Let's dive in. Tiffany isn't wearing just one hat. She's rocking two. As mayor of Dalton, her focus should be on fixing roads, picking up trash, and keeping the town running. But as supervisor of Thornton Township, she's also handling social services, helping residents pay electric bills, covering funeral costs, and cutting checks, all with taxpayer money. And she's not doing it for free. Between both roles, Tiffany pulls in over $200,000 a year, far more than most Dalton residents will see in 5 years. Naturally, people are raising eyebrows. Is it too much power in one person's hands? Some folks are calling her a super mayor, but not in a flattering way. Critics say she's stretched too thin and doing none of it well. Before Tiffany took over in 2021, Dalton was known for its community festivals and small-town charm. Now, it's all eyes on Tiffany, and not everyone is loving the spotlight. Then came her breast cancer charity. Sounds noble, right? But when word got out that taxpayer funds were being used to run it, the praise quickly turned to suspicion. Sure, charities need money, but should it come from the public purse? While Tiffany's been playing double duty, Dalton's finances have gone off a cliff. The town faces a $2 million deficit, not pocket change, but a crisis. Still, Tiffany stands firm, claiming both of her roles are legitimate and necessary. But with controversy swirling, people are starting to wonder, is she working for people or just for herself? Last week, it was just small-town gossip. This week, the FBI is in town, and they're not here for a social call. They've been asking questions, digging into Tiffany's financial dealings, and tracking how she's spending public money. And they're not stopping at her mayoral budget. They're looking into her charity, her political fund, even her personal business dealings. They want the full picture, and they're leaving no stone unturned. Just when you think it couldn't get messier, in steps Freeman, Tiffany's former right-hand man. Freeman has already been charged with bankruptcy fraud, and now he's reportedly cooperating with investigators. Meanwhile, Tiffany is trying to stay calm in the storm. She says all the security around her is because of threats she's received, not because she's hiding anything. She's not backing down, claiming it's all a big misunderstanding. But let's be honest, the FBI doesn't just show up for no reason. Let's break this down. Tiffany says, "We have about 45 officers in our village. My security is warranted due to the fact of threats and things of that nature. But what people aren't saying is it's in our collective bargaining agreement, our union contract, so it comes with the seat." She insists she didn't make this up. She even went to court over it, and the judge sided with her. She has the legal right to security. But here's the real question. Is Tiffany just protecting herself, or is she hiding something? If she says the security is for protection, we have to ask, protection from what exactly? While Dalton is drowning in debt, Tiffany's been living like royalty. First-class flights, luxury hotels, expensive dinners, all charged at township credit cards. That's right, taxpayers are footing the bill. Sure, maybe a few perks come with the job, but this isn't just the occasional dinner or hotel room. We're talking thousands of dollars on repeated lavish trips, fine dining, and luxury accommodations, all paid for with public funds. It gets messier. According to sources, Tiffany hasn't just been using those credit cards for business. She's been swiping them for personal expenses, too. It's like she's got a VIP pass to the town's checkbook, using it like her own personal piggy bank. Let's talk about those billboards. You'd expect ads for community events or local services, right? Nope. It's Tiffany's face, front and center, all over town. And guess who's paying for the self-promotion campaign? You got it. The taxpayers. Here's the kicker. Using public funds for self-promotion is illegal under state law. But judging by Tiffany's approach, she doesn't seem too worried about the rules. So, is Tiffany just bold and misunderstood? Or is she using her office like her own personal ATM? The feds are watching. The town is talking. And it's starting to look like this small-town scandal is about to go national. Here's how I see it. People will talk about anybody, especially those at the top. But Tiffany needs to remember who she's supposed to be working for. While Dalton's residents struggle to pay bills and keep food on the table, she's living like a celebrity. It's not just about what Tiffany is doing. It's about what she's not doing. Dalton has crumbling infrastructure, underfunded schools, and a financial deficit. But instead of rolling up her sleeves and focusing on the basics, Tiffany seems more invested in maintaining her image and personal comfort. I'm all for giving people the benefit of the doubt. But at some point, right is right and wrong is wrong. And what's happening here is starting to look like a case of lost priorities. Some folks are saying Tiffany is completely out of touch. They wonder how she can justify all this spending when Dalton's finances are hanging by a thread. It's like she's living in a fantasy world where money grows on trees and budgets don't matter. But for the rest of Dalton, every dollar counts. Meanwhile, Tiffany insists everything she's done is above board. She claims innocence, brushing off criticism as political attacks. But the FBI isn't buying it, at least not yet. Let's not forget Tiffany's breast cancer charity. On paper, it sounds like a good thing. But again, taxpayer money is in the mix. Is this about helping the community or boosting her own image? With federal investigators circling and new allegations surfacing almost daily, people are connecting the dots and asking the hard questions. At the end of the day, running a town means putting the people first. Tiffany says she's a victim, that the lawsuits, the FBI, the accusations are all part of a political conspiracy to take her down. But is this really a master plan to silence her, or just a way for her to avoid accountability? When people called out her first-class flights and luxury spending, Tiffany didn't blink. She defended it all, saying it's part of the job. But folks in Dalton are asking the obvious. Necessary for who if you thought Tiffany was the only one caught in this storm? Think again. Her former right-hand man, Freeman, is now front and center. Once her go-to guy for everything, from fancy trips to credit card swipes. Freeman is now cooperating with the FBI. Here's the twist. Tiffany's legal team is using Freeman in her defense, painting her as a naive newcomer who relied too heavily on him to handle the finances. According to them, she didn't make the financial calls. He did. Sounds convenient, right? But there's a big problem with that strategy. Freeman isn't keeping quiet. He's cooperated with investigators. And if he knows where financial skeletons are buried, Tiffany could be in serious trouble. Some folks think she's trying to throw him under the bus to save herself. But that's a risky move. If Freeman spills the tea and shows receipts, the innocent mayor defense might collapse fast. Let's be real. Freeman wasn't just some low-level staffer. He was her right-hand man, involved in all the major spending. If it comes down to his word against hers, and if there's evidence backing him up, Tiffany could be facing far more than just political heat. Because at the end of the day, how do you run a town and not know where millions of dollars are going? You're the mayor, people talk, but who's really doing the work? Here's how I see it. People will always talk, especially about the ones at the top. The critics usually aren't the ones doing the hard work. They just focus on tearing down those who are. But here's the problem. Has Tiffany Henyard forgotten who she's supposed to be working for? While the folks in Dalton are struggling to pay their bills and keep food on the table, Tiffany's out here living like a celebrity. We're talking first-class flights, luxury hotels, fancy dinners, and billboard with her face plastered all over town. It's giving high life, but it's a far cry from the everyday reality of the people she was elected to represent. Here's what's really got people talking. It's not just about what Tiffany is doing with the town's money. It's also about what she's not doing. Dalton has real problems. Crumbling infrastructure, financial deficits, underfunded schools. But instead of rolling up her sleeves, Tiffany seems more focused on maintaining her image and personal comfort. Let's be honest. I'm all for giving people the benefit of the doubt. But at some point, right is right and wrong is wrong. What's going on here is starting to look like a case of lost priorities. A mayor out of touch with the people who put her in office. Some folks say Tiffany's completely out of touch. They wonder, how can she justify all this spending when Dalton's finances are hanging by a thread? It's like she's living in a fantasy world where money grows on trees. But for the rest of Dalton, every dollar counts. Meanwhile, Tiffany's doubling down, insisting that everything she's doing is above board. She claims innocence, brushing off criticism as political attacks. But let's be clear. When the FBI gets involved, this is no longer just small-town gossip. They're digging into her finances, her charity, her political fund, and every line item on those credit card statements. They're asking the same question the people of Dalton are asking. Is it being used to fix potholes and fund after-school programs? Or is it financing luxury perks and self-promotion campaigns? The breast cancer charity, good deed or PR move? Let's not forget about Tiffany's breast cancer charity. On paper, it sounds like a good thing, right? But once again, taxpayer money is in the mix. That's got people wondering. Is this really about helping the community, or just another way for Tiffany to boost her image? Tiffany says she's being unfairly targeted. She's not apologizing and not changing her story. But with public pressure growing, federal investigators circling, and new allegations surfacing almost daily, people are connecting the dots and asking hard questions that can no longer be ignored. One of Tiffany's biggest offenses? She says she needs round-the-clock bodyguards, 24/7 security, because her life is in danger. Serious claim, right? But people are asking, asterisk, what kind of danger is she really in? Asterisk, is it a legitimate threat? Or just another way to live large on the taxpayer's dime? Where's the proof? When it comes to her spending, Tiffany insists everything she's done is part of the job. Fancy trips, luxury hotels, high-end dinners. According to her, it's all necessary. But here's the catch. Where are the receipts? Where's the paperwork that proves it's legit? Instead of showing documents, Tiffany's pointing fingers, blaming the trustees. In her version of the story, she's the one trying to serve the people, while the trustees are sabotaging progress. Is this a conspiracy, or just a cop-out? Tiffany says a whole investigation, the lawsuits, the FBI? It's all political. She claims it's a setup, a conspiracy to take her down. But let's be real. The FBI doesn't show up without a reason. The lawsuits aren't just rumors. If you thought Tiffany was the only one caught in this storm, think again. Her former right-hand man, Keith Freeman, is now center stage. Freeman used to be her go-to guy for everything. Fancy trips, expensive dinners, swiping township credit cards right alongside her. Now, he's facing bankruptcy fraud charges and has decided to cooperate with the FBI. He's spilling the tea on Tiffany's spending habits, her use of public funds, and the behind-the-scenes drama nobody saw coming. Here's the twist. Tiffany's legal team is actually using Freeman in her defense. They're trying to paint Tiffany as the naive newcomer, the fresh face in politics who relied heavily on Freeman to handle the town's finances. According to them, she didn't make the financial calls. He did. Sounds convenient, right? But here's the problem. Freeman's not going down without a fight. He's cooperating with the FBI. And if he really knows where the financial skeletons are buried, Tiffany could be in serious trouble. Now, let's talk about the elephant in the room, the missing millions. Tiffany's been bragging that she's brought in serious money for Dalton, telling everyone she secured $15 million in grants and big funding. But if Tiffany really brought in all that money, why is Dalton still broke? Why is there a $2 million deficit? And why are people struggling to see results? The numbers just don't add up. Tiffany wants credit for being a financial wizard, but the town's books are deep in the red. Roads need repair, services are lacking, and residents are left wondering. Some folks are asking, is that $15 million even real? Or is it just a number thrown around to distract from Dalton's mounting problems? Because if the money is real, it's clearly not going toward what matters. Roads are crumbling, the deficit is growing, bills aren't getting paid. Yet Tiffany's out here living like royalty, taking expensive trips, eating at fancy dinners, and flashing her face on billboards. Bringing in $15 million sounds great, but if the people of Dalton can't feel the impact, what's the point? Tiffany says the backlash is just a smear campaign. And believe it or not, a good chunk of Dalton is buying it. She's built herself a solid fan base. People who ride hard for her, show up at meetings, defend her online, and stand by her no matter what. Thanks to all that flashy PR, she's got a bit of a cult following now. But the town is split right down the middle. Team Tiffany versus Team Accountability. 3 ex-employees are now suing her, claiming she fired them for refusing to go along with shady orders, like punishing local business owners who didn't support her or hiding public records. And the FBI, they're no longer just observing. They're in full-blown detective mode, talking people, digging through receipts, and following the money. Every dollar Tiffany has spent is now under a microscope. Tiffany's sticking to her story. She says this is all a political hit job designed to take her down. But the evidence is piling up, and more people are wondering, is anyone still buying what she's selling? If the lawsuits move forward and the FBI uncovers something solid, Tiffany could face serious consequences, from losing her job to possible criminal charges. But don't count her out just yet. Tiffany knows how to work a crowd. From social media antics to costume-themed board meetings, she's turned the mayor's office into a stage. And whether you love her or hate her, one thing for sure, everyone's watching. The real drama, it's just getting started.